And before we continue on with the service, we have one more special story. It's been kind of just random, but almost every week we've had somebody come up and say, hey, I've got a story of God's love I want to share. So Yvonne, why don't you come forward to share a story of where you have experienced God's love recently?
Thank you. My problem is, how do I narrow it down? I am so excited about having this kindness bracelet that we handed out here at church. I put it on in the morning, and when I put it on, it reminds me to be looking for kindness and to be thinking about how I can do that. I want to talk a little bit about the trip to Puerto Rico. I think 2 weeks ago, Julie and Zelmo talked about the church service that we went to the first full day that we were there. And it was wonderful. The people were so incredibly kind. And they expressed that kindness and that warmth through a touch. Many of them touched us. They couldn't, they spoke Spanish, we spoke English. They touched us, they looked us in the eye, and they smiled. Such kindness. The mission team itself, I find to be incredibly kind and inclusive. They are based out of St. John's in Evansville. But the team members support and look after each other and appreciate and recognize each other's skills. I paint, and other than that, I clean and fetch and that kind of stuff. But it's appreciated, and what kindness is that? And the team is always looking for ways to be busy, to be doing something. And in Puerto Rico, honestly, it was a little frustrating because they move at a whole different pace. We want to be up at 8 o'clock and out the door and at it, and we're waiting for someone to come and tell us where we're going. Oh, but anyway, we paid to stay at a camp that was run by the Puerto Rican Lutheran Social Services. And at the camp, they provided a place for us to sleep. They fed us and found work projects for us and provided tools. Now, the tools is another example of kindness as far as I'm concerned. The tool shed was a mess. They had tons of tools, tons of everything, but you walk in there and it was really hard to find anything. And although we had plenty of time to look, actually, when you think about it. But one day, about midway through the week, Dave, one of the guys on our team, said that he was going to stay behind and clean that shed out and organize it. I mean, this is a big job. And he got it started at it, and as it turned out, one of our teams, and it was the one I was on, we weren't able to work that day on the job we were supposed to have, so we stayed behind and we helped Dave. And so we found things, and we had a plumbing section, and we had an electrical section, and we had a painting section, and got everything all organized. And that night at dinner, one of the guys said, tomorrow I need, let me see, it was roofing screws with washers. Dave said, got it. We had sorted through screws and washers and nails and everything. I mean, they were all organized, and he knew right where it was. And I thought, what a kindness that was. I mean, we could have groused and complained and not done anything about it, but he chose to step up and lead that effort. And what a kindness for the camp and for the 50-some workers that were coming the next week. The last thing I want to share with you is the last house that my team worked on was a grandma, Puerto Rican grandma, whose relatives most of them had left for the mainland. And she was there, her house was filthy, it had been flooded. And we hauled all the furniture out and power washed and cleaned. And at one point, I was in the living room and I was moving something, and she's standing there like this and saying something. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, what am I doing wrong? Because she had been watching us carefully to see what we were doing. And I finally asked the person who was standing there who did speak English, I said, what is she saying to me? And she said, she's telling you she loves you. What kindness.